Good morning, and sincere apology for starting the Senate session this morning. We had to attend to some other matters before we begin this morning on this particular legislation that we are addressing today. It is very important for the people that we do our due diligence. Today is Friday, October 27, 2023, the 10th special Senate session. And before we do a roll call, may I ask for a moment of silence? Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Babalsa,
Presente.
Senator Cruz.
Here.
Madam President,
Here.
Senator Hobson,
Day.
Senator King Neighbors,
Here.
Senator Magovnia, Senator Mangonia Donald, Senator Mangonia Cole,
Here.
Senator Mendiola.
Here.
Madam President, 7 members are present, 2 are absent.
With 7 members present, 2 are absent. We have established a sufficient number to establish a quorum to conduct our session this morning. And may the record reflect that Senator Neighbors is joining us online this morning, and Senators Manglona and Magofnia are hereby excused from today's session. Also assisting us this morning is our Senate Legal Counsel, Joe Bermudez, our Senate Clerk Dolores Bermudez, and Chanel Borja, the Assistant, Senate Legislative Assistant Jolene Duenas-Tagabuel, our IT Manager Jonathan Diaz, Sergeant at Arms Benjamin Terlahi. And for the viewing public, we are live on cable TV channel 23 and also live on the CNMI Legislature's YouTube channel, which will be shared on the CNMI Legislature's Facebook page. Moving on the agenda, under item B, public comment. We are now open for public comments, and you are limited to 4 minutes, please. Keep your comments to the time clock. State your name and the entity you are representing. If you have a written comment, to please hand it over to the Sergeant at Arms so that we could make it an official document as part of today's session. Thank you. You may proceed.
Good morning, Madam President, and I have no prepared written comment other than verbally trying to say a few words here. Madam President, good morning, buenas tardes, and primarily to our honorable members of this body, the Senate. I'm here to appear before you and the members to ask your indulgence and your expeditious consideration of House Bill 23-77, of which you call this session as a special session just to address this matter. With all due respect, Madam President and members, we have currently several CIP projects that are lined up. In fact, one of them is, I would say bluntly, currently on hold. The Western Garapan project is on hold because of the lack of financial resources to move forward the project. Uh, we are in the final stage of paving the Western Garapan. However, the contractor currently is reluctant to go into a depth with other providers that would provide the moving on of the project by paving it. So with this in mind, Madam President, I know that some of them are currently on the drawing board to the extent that they are probably 60% completed, and the cinema is ready to move on. Then that would be the NMC campus, the other educational institution that would take place soon, which is the NMTech institution that would enhance the ability of our Commonwealth to further improve the educational field in our Commonwealth. So that being said, Madam President, I ask your humble consideration and that of the members to seriously consider passing this bill this morning from Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apateng and the administration. Thank you in advance for the opportunity to speak before you and to address you briefly this morning, Madam President. Jesus Masi and buenos dias para todos. Thank you.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Babauta, for your comment this morning. Anybody else? You are welcome to make a public comment specifically on the single agenda item on today's session. State your name and the entity you are representing, and if you have any copy to provide this body, please do so for our records. Thank you. You may proceed.
Good morning, Madam Chair, honorable members of the 23rd Legislature. Good morning. My name is Mariano Iglesias. I am an engineer with the Office of Planning and Development. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes to speak to you in support of House Bill 23-77 as amended. I feel compelled in support of House Bill 2377 as amended. And I feel compelled to come before you to express not only my support of this bill, but to share some important information regarding the list of EDA projects that were awarded to the CNMI, of which necessitates the request for a $15 million line of credit from MPLT to cover payment for reimbursements for the ongoing projects. Please allow me to share some background information. As some of you may have known, I used to be the project engineer for EDA at the Seattle Regional Office. In November of 2018, a month after Super Typhoon U2, I was sent to the CNMI on a disaster assessment mission. In my initial visit, I met with 13 department and agency heads, including 3 nonprofit organizations. I was able to meet with the municipality of Tinian leadership at that time, the incoming mayor Aldan and his staff, as well as scheduling a meeting with Rhoda's resident director for commerce. After the initial meetings, we continued to engage in the development of project proposals. There were 5 subsequent trips made to the CNMI to ensure development of proposals were complete and ready for submission. Of the 10 proposals submitted to EDA, 7 were awarded, totaling $96 million. To put this into perspective, there was $190 million that was appropriated by U.S. Congress for the disaster recovery, and 96 million went to the CNMI. This award constitutes 50% of the disaster appropriations from U.S. Congress to the Seattle Regional Office. I must add that these projects developed were deliberately designed to provide the CNMI with the economic recovery infrastructure that was decimated during the Super Typhoon U2. Once completed, the impact from these projects will be immediate, and it'll benefit not only Saipan but the entire CNMI. If you want more explanation on these projects, I can provide those. But for now, I humbly ask, I strongly urge that this honorable body to consider supporting this bill as amended. The other option will greatly set the CNMI back, or worse, default with its grant terms and condition. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot afford to let these grants to default. A lot of work have went into these grants, and a lot of people have helped the CNMI along the way. Thank you, Jesus Masi, for your time. Undang ko na Jesus Masi.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Iglesias, for your comments this morning, and we do appreciate your involvement with the EDA office in Seattle, and also for sharing with us this morning regarding your visits to the Commonwealth as you were planning out all of these grant projects to the tune of more than $90 million for the Commonwealth. Thank you very much. Public comment is still open. If there's anybody else that would like to make a comment, please come up, and please stay within the time, 4 minutes. Thank you very much. State your name and the entity you are representing. Thank you.
Morning. Yeah. Can I push it up a little? Finina no Miss Senate President no buenas hopefully and buenas and no good morning and how many of senators bear in my name to todo ginal na members na tunga colleagues from Tinian, senators from Tinian, others na mantuto zapa mi sound money so sita be exercise na part mogotin no Brad no may estimate adults no good morning Brad Senator of Snyder my good brother from the youngest in the family but I hope your health and everything works out with you and everything. No, good morning, Senator Borja Babalta. Good morning, Madam and Legal Counsel and Senator Frank Cruz. Good morning. Good to see you, Senator Talo and Senator Cunhal. I told you now, Senator Pomanglo and Senator Frank Cruz. And congratulations on winning, Mr. Mindiola. Anyway, the Madam President, 4 minutes. Kusina and Monalzan, the other points additional 4 minutes. Using these rules, no, Sam's using these rules still. Un minuto para 2 minutos, and I'm going to speak in English so everybody can hear what I'm trying to say. Probably a lot of Williams to Munguna come into the house, though contrast in a bill. It's nothing new. No, I'm not against to contra inteni in cinema entity as a government. No, the na go si Richard Hofschneider zone. No, na go no advisory matua council the part time and as an individual. I'm not an enemy. I want to clarify that. Toto tano in tinyan no mapoksezo and mafanyago saipan. Lo anyway, to contra administration. Stam na election. Na turman mangana. I don't want to clarify and I echo ki Dr. Magalay si Governor Palacios ne. Then Governor Ampatang. So unka looking bonito siya na 90 million na siya EDA. Bonito no siya. We need progress sa Manamasid ganyan we're the westernmost in the entire jurisdiction of the United States. We're the most strategic, economic, military strategic and political internationally. So it's naman importante ganyan ni militad and todo Amerikano. Anyway, go up opposite as it written like this for a couple of reasons. Madam President, I want to speak in English now. My name is Richard Hofschneider. I'm a part-time advisor for the Matua Council for Native Chamorro Advancement. Specifically, Toto Tanwa. They're not NMD. I'm not representing NMD. I have nothing to do with NMD. Also, I'm an individual coming here. Being raised in Tinian for many years, witnessed all this covenant negotiation. I want to repeat it again, all the way up to now. Of course, we need economic development, and election is over, so we have to work together. So I'm not against the plan to borrow money, but not at MPLT. Okay, the entity of the Sinamay government has to go somewhere else to borrow. If my former speaker and Cornell brothers, Mr. Babalta and the EDA representative, they're all good projects, because administration law. The issue here is the what's in here. Number one is Maranas Public Land Trust to withhold and to retain net annual interest, distributed interest as security until line of credit is satisfied or retired in 7 years. So I was there yesterday at MPLT and I raised this issue. Number one, legal counsel, with all due respect, Attorney Bermudez, and I raised it with Attorney Robert Torres and others, Chairman Trustee. And you've been the Chairman Trustee for many years, and congratulations for that. Number one is, who owns this interest that comes to the, this is a legal question and it must be answered, because we'll never stop it, I might probably grow old and die, and then the next one will come in because we're out there educating the Tototano, Imansamoro. Who owns this interest rate when it comes to the legislature? Because it's never been answered, Number two, who owns the land? Who owns the land? And, I saw here, somewhere here, it says government, somewhere down here, it said the Commonwealth, the appraised, the Commonwealth government's entity, land entity at the appraised value. So you're saying in this bill, see, Edmund Blagomez, the speaker, is referring that the Sinamay government owns the land. My understanding is when they transferred this through the covenant via the United Nations in 1947, they hold this, as trustees. Everything is trust all the way until now. So all of you guys, with all respect, all of you honorable senators here are trustees too, the way I see you. And I told this to the lower house and that's then the executive branch. They transferred this land. 95% of the land that was transferred. There was a survey I found through my research, for many years of researching this. They surveyed the entire Micronesia, the Caroline Islands, and 95% is public land. That's the United Nations. It's inverse, 5% is private. But the rest of Micronesia is 80 to 90% private. What does that mean? So I infer that it's a land that is claimed by the chiefs of Micronesia. Palau, Yap, Panape. You go to Yap or Palau, it's the chief, Babodap, everywhere. You don't go there because that's the chief. You have to ask the chief, the beach, the ocean. So it's inverse. So my argument is here is if you, Madam President, and the rest of the honorable senators and members of the public, especially Toto Tano, Mansamoro, the Maranas, Antun Hongkine, if you don't believe that the Spanish came here in 1521 and in 1660s they fought, the Chamorros fought all the way, bloody battle, all the way until 1898. And then Spain sold it to Germany, all entire holdings for, I believe, 42 million or something to that, New Guinea and Ponape. And then 1914, Japan came in through the League of Nations, gradually stepped in because Germany had to go back to World War I. And then 1945.
Dispensazo, Mr.
Right.
Hofschneider, not to disrespect Philo. I'm going to give you another 3 minutes so you could wrap up your comments,
Okay.
please.
Okay.
Thank you, Sidus.
Thank you for that very much. I truly appreciate. So when they transferred in 1947, the United Nations went out on a commission. My esteemed former Senate President, and he's the most senior senator here. So if the United States transfer 11 of the United Nations, one is the Micronesia. So if those hold as a strategic trust, and transferred to the Department of Interior through the president and transferred it to us, the trust never relinquished. That's my point. So this 7%, idea of loaning from MPLT, number one, I disagree with that because it's never defined who owns the interest rate. And number two, that should go to royalty. Former Governor Froilan Tenorio, for many years, I've been arguing with this before he passed away, and many others before him. And I'm just taking the role that the idea here is the legislature, you Senator, anybody here can introduce a legislation, and right now we'll get support and give every Tototano all the interest rate every year. The security is really unconstitutional. If the Attorney General is going to reveal this and the International Court, we're going to go to court. We're already going out there asking for solicitation to represent us because this is wrong. I know there's YouTube and everything. We need the money. But ask Congressman Kilili. It's been there for many years. He can solve this problem back here, but they're asking. I've worked in the U.S. Congress when I was in law school. I've worked in the Department of Interior. I know the place. I've lived there for 3 years, and I graduated from law school there. I understand this. So ask Congressman Kilili right now to solve their problem. And lastly, Madam President and members of the Senate, when we go to court, just or anything, we're gonna sue everyone because you're taking money. The owner of the land is Tototano. If you lease your house, Senator Cruz and now members of the Senate and every month you take the rent, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to your kids, to you, and this is the same thing. So the answer is Itototano. Everywhere now we're raising archaeologists along the road because infrastructure. We found burial ground all over Tinian, Luta, Saipan, and the Northern Islands. So the issue here is do not do not pass this, because if you're waiving fiduciary duty as said to the MPLT, that's the biggest mistake, because they can sue them personally and everyone. So, and everyone involved with this. You know, all of these members of the Senate and the House and the governor has been here for many years. There's only a few that are new. So please,
Mr. Schneider, thank you.
Yeah.
Ni-
Si Jesus
You're
Masi.
you're welcome to please go
Yeah.
ahead and write your comments and submit it to
Yeah.
my office.
Yeah.
I will make sure that it's part of this Senate session.
yes,
Danku na si Diyos Masi.
yeah, thank you, Madam President, and I will give my written comment. Then at 3 o'clock, I'm going over there to MPLT, and I'm going to address this because we addressed it yesterday. Because $5 million again, CHCC is loaning for 3%. You know, and
Si Diyos Masi ni
yeah.
tempo mo.
And also, who wrote? Sorry, Madam President. I wrote this. Somebody wrote. Did you write this article? Am I writing? Emmanuel T. Adriano. Next time, my friend, please interview me, because you didn't define indigenous here,
Si Diyos Masi, Mr. Hofschneider.
and you didn't check me.
Okay.
Check me. So I
Thank
can
you,
give you
Nitempo mo.
a balance, you know, because you check all of them, but you check me. Check the people, because
Okay. Thank you.
your media is really going to racism.
Public comment is still open for anybody else that would like to make a comment. Please limit your comment to 4 minutes. State your name and the entity you are representing. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Madam Senate President, and to these members of this body. Good morning to you, Memorias Paramsuza Familia Mizu. My name is Edwin Raymond Borakirwa. I come here not as an NMD, but I come here as an indigenous Tautotano. I support Mr. Afsanaja's decision to go against this bill for the very merit that we've discussed in the past, Senate President, and even I've addressed the matter on radio talk show when you were there. And my concern here is the clarity of who owns Manaus Public Land Trust. NMD and indigenous. I am not an NMD. Now, for like I stated in the past, and I'm going to state it again, be on the record. What has the NMD given up to earn a penny versus the people, the native people of the Maranas? We've given, and goes back on record, blood, death, you name it, genocide, and land. What have they given up as a corporation, as NND, to really emphasize that they're entitled to even a penny? Now, to clarify more on the sections of the enactment of this bill, line 19, 20 to 21, it says here, subsection 101, notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary, pursuant to NMI Constitution, Article 11, Section 6, Paragraph D, the Sinamay Legislature authorizes a public debt and obligation to the Maranas Public Land Trust for Governor Arnold Palacios. Wow. Please clarify, how can the Sinamay Legislature authorize a public debt to an entity? For one, there was no public hearing. Second, this entity, Maranas Public Land Trust, is not a public entity. So justify that before you put any drastic measure to have legal proceedings to intervene, because clarity has to be clarified. And in that aspect, I am not against the economic development of the Sinamay, but borrowing money that is not owned by this administration or by this government to an entity entrusted to look after the welfare of the people. Now, that's morally, that's not ethical because you're piggybacking on the people. You swore that you can handle the job all the way up to the governor. Why do you need the people to back your words up? Now, we gave you the confidence. You are sitting here today. Now, show us what you can without hampering our future for our children in that aspect of that entity to just leave it there. And if you're going to have it for one governor and previous governors, when is it going to stop? When are we, the people, are going to be entitled to something that we own, yet oppressed of something that the government do not own, but yet oppressed of us that we do not own it? Now, do we have to go to the highest court to get the clarity for us to pay for the mistakes of what is written? Now, this is your obligation, judicial duty, to clarify that in black and white. And in closing, I want to be on the record. I spoke with U.S. Delegate Congressman Kilili a week and a half ago in his office. And this matter, as I see, seeing the seal behind you, Madam Senate President, like he stated on the record, the person, the entity that carries the official seal of the CNMI, that is the Attorney General's office. We go there, that mar, that leaf, cannot touch the sacred stone of the CNMI flag. You go to the Attorney General, it does not touch the CNMI lattice stone. So, in light of that, he did not know. And yet, shouldn't the seal be a standard seal for all government, from public school to the superior courts, to everywhere? Because that's our national identity. And it's being mocked. Be made a mockery out of it. I, for one, I am proud of my CNMI flag, and I take it offensively for somebody to mock my national identity. Well, thank you, Madam President, and to all you members of this body. Memorias Paramzo.
Jusmasi, Mr. Kirigua, you can submit your written comment if you have it on you to the Sergeant at Arms. We'll make it part of our session record. Jusmasi. Anybody else that would like to make a comment on the sole item of today's agenda? None. We are officially closing the public comment period under this session. Moving on to item C, reading and approval of the journal. There's none. Messages from the governor. There is none. Communications from the judiciary. There is none. Communications from the heads of executive department. None. Communications from the House. There is none. Communication, item H, communications from the Senate clerk.
Madam President, we have one, Senate Communication 23-296.
Any comments from the members? None. Item I, communications from the Washington delegate. There is none. Unfinished business. There is none. Pre-filed bills, initiatives, local bills, and resolutions. There is none. Introduction of bills, initiatives, local bills, and resolutions. There's none. Reports of standing committees. None. Reports of special conference committee. None. Resolution calendar. There is none. Moving on to item P, bill calendar. I now recognize the acting floor leader, Senator Salina Babauta.
Cesar Smalsey, Madam President, hereby offer a motion to pass House Bill number 2377 to authorize a revolving line of credit between the CNMI government and the Marianas Public Land Trust in the amount of $15 million with repayment terms, interest, and pledge as security. The interest income distributions from the Marianas Public Land Trust pursuant to Article 11, Section 6D of the Northern Mariana Islands Constitution to consent and authorize the Marianas Public Land Trust to withhold and to retain net annual distributed income as security until the line of credit is satisfied or retired, not to exceed 7 years and beyond, as necessary for the repayment or debt service and for other purposes. So moved, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Babauta. Do I hear a second on the motion to pass House Bill number 23-77? There is a second. Discussions from the members. Recognize Senator Babauta.
Thank you, Madam President. I will offer amendments to this bill. And I believe every member has a copy of the proposed amendments. And we can go over it during this time, at this time.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. First, there will be an amendment to the title. Specifically after 15, line 3 of the title of 15 million with repayment terms. The language starting with interest and pledge as security, the interest income distributions from the Marianas Public Land Trust pursuant to Article 11, Section 60 of the Northern Mariana Islands Constitution to consent and authorize the Marianas Public Land Trust to withhold and to retain net annual distributed income as security will be deleted on the title. So it will, from line 3 again, of 15 million with repayment terms, continue until line of credit is satisfied or retired, not to exceed 7 years. And additionally, language after years, which states and beyond as necessary for repayment or debt service and shall also be omitted from the title. Any questions so far from the members? Also on page 2, line 6, instead of 45-day period for the repayment back to MPLT, it shall be amended to read 30 days. And in order for the bill to be consistent throughout, that amendment and modification also appears on page 3, line 20, page 5, end of line 8 into line 9, instead of 90 days, it shall read 30 calendar days from the date of each drawdown. And it also, the next amendment will be on page 4, beginning with line 1 towards the end of line 1. Therefore, this legislation authorizes and pledges the funds which MPLT will distribute as interest income to the general fund pursuant to Article 11, Section 6 of the Constitution as security and repayment of the $15 million line of credit with the Commonwealth government through the Department of Finance at an annual interest rate of 5.5% shall be deleted. Additionally, on page 4 again, line 8, the second paragraph is completely omitted, beginning with the word accordingly. Furthermore, on page 4, line 18, section 101, the word notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary pursuant shall be omitted. Section 101 will begin with 2 NMI Constitution, Article 10. Article 11 is the wrong citation. Therefore, Article 11 is crossed out and replaced with Article 10. Also, Section 6D will be omitted. It should read Section 3. The other minor modification will be on page 7, line 19, towards the end. The word through is omitted. And those are the only amendments offered at this time. Are there any discussions from the members?
Thank you, Senator Babauta. So there is a motion to amend specific languages in the proposed legislation, House Bill 23-77. There is a global amendment on numeric number of 45 or 90 days to 30 on specific pages of the proposed legislation. There are also specific languages on the title that will be omitted. Specific language on page 4 that will be omitted on those specific line items. And down under section 2, subsection 101, specific languages also will be omitted and citing the correct constitutional article 10 and section 3 instead of section 6D. Any comments from the members, discussions? Recognize Senator Jude Hoffschneider.
I think, Madam President, just 2 point of clarification. I think the acting floor leader had made a motion for introduction, no? So I think it
Yes.
needs to, so my response is to second her motion for the amendment being offered.
Thank you, Senator Hoffschneider. The amendments offered has been seconded. Any further discussions from the members? Recognize Senator Paul Manglona.
Thank you, President. Can we hear from the legal counsel briefly the amendment pertaining to subsection 101, the difference between Article 11 and Article 10 with regards to this, the intent of this legislation, just briefly?
Article 11, Section 6 refers to the interest on the amount received for the lease of the property of the Tanapac Harbor that should go to the development and maintenance of the Memorial Park. We cannot do what this original bill is trying to do because this is a constitutional provision. You can't change it by statute. So therefore, that provision is deleted. Article 10, Section 3 is the public debt authorization, that any public debt, it must be approved by the legislature by two-thirds of the members of each house. So in the original bill, I think it cited Article 11 sections, and again, it doesn't make sense why they're citing that in that provision, because it says the next sentence is the legislature authorizes the public debt. So the correct citation would be Article 10, Section 3. I'm not sure it's a big typo if it's a typo, but the correct citation should be Article 10, Section 3.
Thank you, Senator Paul, for your question. Any other comments from discussions from the members on the proposed amendments? Recognize Senator Jude Hoffschneider.
Asisus Masi, Madam President, no likuna na legislation no finaisin ni administration ni puma address di siya pending projects, no? Do communication from the Office of the Governor July 17 na letter no. This is the origin that catapult the discussion with the trustees at MPLT. Now, on the letter, it says Economic Development Administration, federal grants administered by EDA, by Department of Commerce, U.S. EPA, and other federal agencies. Now, this morning, we understand that the intent of the legislation is to service the needs of EDA-approved projects that's attached to this. But may I ask if, just for clarification, if any other projects are being considered with regards to the letter that was given to the MPLT on July 17? Or if there's and then subsequent to that, Madam Press, there was a July 31st letter from the chair from MPLT requesting the standing ongoing project of their under progress, priority project listing and cost estimates, details of the A&E and so forth, and a letter from USEDA stating such. So I'm just curious, Madam Press, for the purpose of the viewing public and of course our folks that are watching from both Rhode and Tinian, can we just get a guidance as to, is there any response to the request by Chairman Philip Long with regards to the listing of projects? Can somebody, maybe a recess or?
Thank you, Senator Jude Hoffschneider. Those are perfect points to call out regarding the initial letter of the governor after the June 2023 meeting that we had. That included myself, the governor, the Speaker of the House, Edmund Villagomez, and also the House Legal Counsel, Joe Tyrone. That was the initial meeting on the ask of this particular credit line facility, which originated with the amount of 20 million, although the legislation is addressing 15. And there's a reason for that, why it's 15. But you are correct. There has been communications from the governor's office after the June 2023 meeting. He wrote a letter to Philip Long, the chairman of MPOT, on July 17, obviously. And after that, Mr. Philip Long, the chairman of MPOT, responded to the governor's letter of July 17, and the MPOT letter was dated July 31st, asking for specific assurances regarding the requests for the credit line facility. And as a result of that, I shall call for a short recess to make a call to the governor's office and see whether we have any information in response to the July 31st letter from MPOT. And if so, if we have it, we could distribute it this morning to the Senate body. Short recess, please.
Press.
Schneider?
And again, Madam Press, I'm just running with the question, no, from the original letter from the Governor Palacios. But again, obviously, the reason why we're asking, because the EDA grant is very critical to move forward all these important projects. But at the same time, I also want to reference that there's no indication of any projects of such that are listed here for Rhoda and Tinian at the same time. But I'm sure that maybe that clarification on that listing of projects can probably shed some light to some of us that are here, no?
Yes, thank you,
Thank you
Senator
so
Duke,
much.
for that. And for the viewing public, we are referring to July 17, 2023 letter from the governor to the chairman of the board, MPOT, and specifically on this particular letter from the governor on July 17, on the second paragraph, it says, the Commonwealth has several capital improvement projects throughout the 3 main islands that are funded on a reimbursable basis by the federal grant funds administered by the Economic Development Administration, USEDA, of the U.S. Department of Commerce, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, USEPA, and other federal agencies. And as a result of that, the response on July 31st from MPOT is what we are looking for right now. And so a short recess, please. Thank you, members. And for the viewing public, we're back from our short recess, and we recess for reasons to try to get copies of information regarding the July 31st letter from MPOT chairman to the governor requesting for certain information regarding the proposed request on the line of credit. And that letter was dated July 31st, 2023. And as a result of our recess, we were able to reach out to the governor's office, but we were not able to get that copy from that office. And thank you to MPOT for responding to our call. And I just received a message also from MPOT, and MPOT provided us a copy of the response to the July 31st, 2023 letter from the governor, from MPOT Chairman Philip Long to the governor. And MPOT provided us this copy this morning, and it's dated August 14, 2023. Unfortunately, the legislature was not provided a copy, and that's the reason why this discussion this morning came into a recess. And as a result of that, in fairness of thorough review of the legislation, and to make sure that we also conduct our due diligence in the interest of the public, because we are getting into, whether we approve or not, a public debt of $15 million credit line facility, revolving credit line facility with MPOT. It is important that this body be given the opportunity to review the information that we just received this morning from MPOT. And I shall recess this session until Monday at 1 p.m. Thank you.